Hello everyone, Roger Time with Owen again. We've got 8 hands to review this week. These are all hands that are played all the way through to the river. How are you, Owen?
I'm all right, thanks, Reg. I've had a bit of a bad week, poker-wise, but everything else in life is fine. So there should be some juicy ones here now,
All
and we
right,
can see where I've
excellent.
been going wrong.
Well, um, let's get stuck straight in, fella. I have seen your graph
Yeah,
already. It has been a bad week.
yes.
We're not going to see all of the stuff that's been bad, but hopefully we'll see enough of the stuff that'll spark some conversation. Um, and hopefully we can inject some discipline because I think that's what looks like it's been lacking this week.
I agree. Yeah, I think that's right. It is. Okay, so shall I get the action to me?
Absolutely.
Okay. Oh, blind versus blind. I'm in the small blind, and it looks like I'm going to raise it up. I'd normally make it 3 or 4. Let's have a look. 5.
Oh,
Bloody hell.
heck. Right, all right, hang on. What is going on?
I don't know.
No,
Let me just check
right.
it.
We're going to have to be a bit tougher on you this week. I love the fucking bones of you. You're such a nice man, but fucking come on. No, I don't know. That's not good enough. We've made a wild deviation from standard sizing here, and I
Yeah,
don't know isn't going to cut the
why
mustard.
I've done it.
Yeah.
No. I I'm trying to think of an answer that makes sense.
No, I want an answer that why you've done
Yeah,
it. I don't want you to try and like make up an
yeah,
answer. I want to know why you've done it.
yeah. That's why I'm trying to think. Because I was thinking at the time, had I just been had the table just gone to heads up? But if it had, and I thought I had the button, I would have made it 2.5. I know I would have. So that's not the reason.
Is it possible that you're frustrated as all hell because the guy's playing 66-18? You're like, this fucking asshole never folds. I'm going to make him fold, and I'm going to make it 5x with a bad hand.
That's not impossible.
It looks like frustration to me. It looks like, Jesus
Yeah,
Christ, I can never get a raise through this guy, so I'm going to make it bigger.
yeah,
But then I never get a raise through this guy. I'm going to make it bigger with a really bad hand.
yeah. I think that is possible. I'm trying to look at why it's a small blind. I don't think I've got a stat there that would help me.
Let's be honest, mate.
Um,
This is pure tilt because this is a massive
yeah,
deviation from A game.
yeah. I think it is.
And yeah, I get it. I know the pool you play in. It's frustrating when these players never fold their big blind versus, or they just don't fold to steals. I get its
Yeah.
frustration, and I understand the temptation to just make your steal sizes bigger, but
But
they're
choose
not
a better
folding.
hand.
Yeah, just like
Yeah.
by all means, size up a little bit, but just do it with a narrower range. Because you're trying
Yeah.
to punish a guy for his loose defense by making
with a
larger
terrible
open
hand.
sizes, which is a good idea. This guy's never folding, so therefore raise a little bit bigger with good hands. I have no issue with that whatsoever. But raising 5x with bad hands out of position when he's only got 43 big blinds to start the hand.
Yeah.
It just none of it makes sense because you're just like massively lowering the SPR to what it would normally be in like normal situation, 100 big blinds deep, we 3x their call.
Yeah.
Then we get to a flop with an SPR of about 15. He calls here. We're going to get to a flop with an SPR 4, where when we're at SPR 4, we need to start considering stacking off with top pairs. But we're going to have top pair 4 kicker and with 5x pre. So it's just it's really messed up. And this has to be just frustration pre-flop. It just has to be.
Yeah.
And I don't know what to say to you other than don't do this. This is just really bad. I mean, I would argue that this type of hand versus this type of player who never folds for the flop,
just to fold.
You could argue not to open it. I think it's an open on the charts. I think you could argue not to open it in this rake environment where we're always guaranteed to see a flop against this type of player, or almost guaranteed to see a flop. So we're immediately paying rake, and we've got a marginal hand, I think we could make an argument for just folding this type of
Folded.
hand.
Yeah.
Not 5x. Certainly, right, folding is a better adjustment than 5xing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think I know I have been tilted this week, but that's still not an excuse. It's a
Well,
reason,
no.
but it's
Well,
not an
what
excuse
tilt
if you know what I
does,
mean. Yeah,
it teaches us the fundamental stuff that we're not very good at, and this is a shame that I'm going to have to say this, but this is a simple, basic pre-flop spot, and you've slaughtered it through tilt.
yeah,
So you just, I think I've said this to you quite a few times now. You need to really work hard on like your race first in ranges,
yeah.
because this shouldn't be a thing. This should be a raise blind versus blind in normal scenario
Yeah, I
against
think
somebody
yeah,
like this, where you are clearly making adjustment. You're clearly adjusting to try and exploit them in some way. But I think you're just exploiting yourself by taking this action. When you're tilted
yeah,
and you start 5xing, I think it's time to probably turn the computer off and do something else.
yeah. Okay, but unfortunately, I didn't. Right. Yeah, no, I agree. Shall I go and see what happens?
Yeah, let's see how more depraved it gets.
Okay.
So now we're in
So
stack-off territory because we have SPR of less than 4. We have top pair against
3.5.
70 VPIP. So now it's just a matter of, right, how does this guy play versus check? How does he play versus bet? And deciding which one's better.
Yeah. Well, he only bets 21% and he calls 41%.
Well, it's just,
so I think I should bet.
Yeah, we're just betting and not folding in that way, I guess. But it's a messed up spot.
I think we should have gone bigger, if I'm honest.
Well, here's the thing: if we look at the SPR, it's SPR 4, so we just get it in by going pot, which is, I think, what we should have done against this type of player.
Yeah. Right. He calls. I think that doesn't change anything. I should just bet again.
Yeah. At this point,
But
we're not looking to try and save money. We're just looking to put the money in.
And yeah, size it up. Okay. He calls. And now he's got half a pot behind.
Yeah, and just shove it.
Okay.
Why have we left 5 blinds behind?
That's not paying attention, isn't it?
This whole hand, and you know that you know how much I cared about you. This is fucking awful. The entire hand, mate. It's awful.
Yeah. And then he raises. And I call. And God knows what he's got.
I mean, whatever. just whatever.
Yeah.
I've got nothing to say about that. It's just an absolute.
Yeah. I should have folded pre-flop, and then I should have tried to get, when I was top pair, I should have really just pot.
You should just be aware of the SPR. Right, SPR 4, I've got top pair against a 70 VPIP. Just play a 2-street game, pot. And if you beat, it's your own fault for opening Queen 4, you know?
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
I mean, with all the love in the world, this hand, because when you're playing well, you're decent enough. There's still plenty of leaks, but you're decent enough to win in this pool. When you're tilted, this is just, with all the love in the world, this is just fish on fish violence right now. Because when you're tilting and you're doing stuff like this, you know, you're not at A level. You're probably playing your C or your D game, and your C or D game is undoubtedly not just losing, probably losing quite badly. But you've been lucky enough this time that you've found someone who looks even more tilted than you, or is just utterly brainless.
Yeah. Right. I got a feeling there's going to be a few like this. I hope not, but we'll soon find out. Right, shall I go to the next one?
Yep.
Ace Jack. Right, can I move that? That's fit on 14. That's his. That's him. Right.
I'll move that off across to the left, mate. We can't see double 9 stack. Right, okay, so we've opened this. That's obviously completely normal.
Yeah. Shall I get the action back to me?
Yep.
Odd. Call.
So we've been caught by a fish in the small blind, flop top pair. Life is good.
Yeah. I think I should bet. Well, my normal size would be bet third, but I think I should maybe go a little bit bigger. Half pot, maybe.
We have a pretty enormous range advantage here. Like, yeah, of course, it's called a small blind, so pocket fours and pocket threes exist in the real world. They don't exist in theory very often. They exist in the real world. But I think given he's probably three betting ace, queen, ace, king, pre, I think we have a hand here where if we bet too big, we just make it hard for him to continue. So I would go one. I know you think you want to go bigger here, but I would just go 1/3 here because I think Villain's range just doesn't connect with this flop very hard at all. We block calls by having an ace. I would just bet small here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. See what I did. That's what I did.
Yep, happy days.
Okay. He calls. 3, 4. Okay. He checks.
So now what are you thinking? Well, What do you think his range looks like as played?
I think he can have pocket pairs. I think he can have. He could have had straight draws on the flop, couldn't he? Which might have improved to a pair now, or
Maybe. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
they shouldn't be there, but hands like 6, 7 could be there. Yeah.
yeah.
5, 6 could be there. They shouldn't be there, but they easily could be there. I agree.
Maybe hands like sort of king queen are still in there if he just floated, but he's calling less than a third.
Yeah, I agree that a lot of players, especially 47-21 types, if they've got king, queen, jack, queen, etc., so they've got 2 overs to the middle card, they'll call when they shouldn't. So I agree. So basically what you're saying is his range is still very capped and very weak.
Yeah.
I agree.
But
he will have some ace X that he's flatted pre that he shouldn't have too.
Yeah, weaker aces than mine. I think I should bet again.
So do I. What size do you think you should bet?
6 or 7 blinds?
Yeah, I like that. Somewhere around 70%. Our hand's not strong enough to overbet, I don't think. Well, it is.
No.
But I think the problem with overbet is it gets too many folds, and we want some action. We don't just want to overbet here and just pray that ace 10, ace 9 decide to get sticky. I'd prefer to bet 2 more streets of this hand, probably around 2/3, 3/4 pot, 2 streets, I think, against this player type. And just really punish him when he's just got ace 9 offsuit and stuff.
Okay. Should we see?
Yep. Yeah,
7.
I like it.
Oh my God.
Now we've got a problem. Now we've got a big problem. Do you think he's ever doing this with a worse value hand than ace jack?
No. I don't think I think he's got all 1 pairs beat. I think he's got like ace 6 or something.
What draws do you think he has here?
Well, it's a rainbow, isn't it? There's no flushes, so he could have he could have had 5-7 from the off, I suppose.
No, what about his draws? We're trying to explore.
What draws could he?
Yeah, what bluffs do we beat?
What could he? Like, I don't know if he had pocket 5s, maybe. Not many. There's only straight because there are literally no flush draws. I should have folded here.
There, but this is the point. We've already established that it's very unlikely he has a worse value hand here. So we don't have a value beater, and it's a
Yeah.
real stretch to find bluffs. So it's really quite an easy decision.
Yeah.
When we don't beat value and there's no, there's no
Obvious
bluffs,
flush,
but it's
yeah.
really hard to find what it can be bluffing with, and we don't beat value. It's irritating, but it's a really simple decision.
Yeah.
That you're not about to execute on. So why? That's what we need to get to here. Why are we
Yeah,
not
I
folding
know.
here?
I think this is something that I've done all week. I think what
Okay.
it is, yeah, I
Yeah.
think I know why.
Oh, go on.
I think
Sorry,
I've got,
I thought you were just about to try and make an excuse out. We need to get because you've
no,
had a bad week. We need to
yeah,
get to the reasons why you're doing these things
I,
because this is
I've
an
thought about,
absolute torch.
yeah, I've thought about this for the last couple of days, really. And I think what happens when I was, because I've been playing now for about 5 or 6 weeks since I took that gap. And I think I've been playing very disciplined. And I think I've had quite a good graph. And I don't know if I've maybe got an exaggerated opinion of, do you know what I mean? I've got overconfident would be a nicer way to put it probably. And this week I've been, and last week actually, and I had a decent week last week, but I think I was more disciplined last week. I've been playing 4 tables at a time. And I think what happens at the moment, I don't think I'm good enough to do it basically. I think what happens, I go into a mindset, like my muscle memory, because as you know, before I started playing cash in the last, but I'm playing a while now, but for a very long time, I would play very short stack poker, which is like hyper turbos and things. And I think what has been happening, this is the only way I can make sense of it, is I am overvaluing my kind of top pair hands, and I'm happy to get it, and I'm not paying attention to the sizing or the stacks. I think what if we were shallower, if he only had sort of, even if he had like sort of 40 or 50 blinds now, I think this would be a call, I would think. Do you agree? And I'm not, I think that's what's happening. I think I was obviously playing far more disciplined up until this week, and I've gone off the rails. And I think it's going to be a theme of these hands that I am just overvaluing my top pair type hands and trips as well. When I make trips, I think
To be
I think
fair,
I
if
should.
if you're getting cooler with trips, that's a very different scenario to this.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
You know,
but yeah, I think
yeah, when we got trips, we just typically don't fold them very often. It's a very strong hand. This isn't a very strong hand. This is a
no,
hand where we just go 3 streets of value, and if we get raised, we strongly
fold.
consider folding. I mean, this
Yeah.
guy's check raised 4.5x on a
How
board
deep?
where
Yeah,
we've already established it's a stretch to find bluffs.
yeah. How if he was shorter stacked, even if he had 100 blinds, if he started the hand with more like 140 odd, I think it was. Even if he was 100 blinds deep, it would be a fold, wouldn't it?
I would throw this away so fast you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
I don't
Just
know what
over. Yeah,
stack off ranges are at shorter stacks, but I'd imagine this. If we got to this turn at SPR, say 4, I'd imagine it'd be an uncomfortable call off because we've got top pair, good kicker, and whatever. But I think once we arrive at this turn,
we're
and
more than 10, aren't we? Yeah,
we're SPR 12. Right?
yeah.
We don't want to be getting one pair, top pair, not even top kicker, top pair like semi decent kicker.
Yeah.
SPR 12, we're not looking to put all the money in at SPR 12 with this hand. You
No,
need
no.
to be. I understand what you're saying about used to play in shorter stacks, but you need to just
Yeah,
look at the SPR. Like before you make your bet, what's SPR here? Oh, SPR's 12. I'm not looking to play an all
yeah,
in
yeah.
pot with this hand. I'm
I'm
just
gonna make
looking
him.
to bet two
Yeah,
streets of value and hopefully get called. And if I get
yeah,
raised, I'm probably going to just fold most of the time because um, we know not just by mass data, we just know by playing in the games time and again.
yeah,
This is a significantly under bluff line, and when there's no obvious bluffs available, it's going to be even more under bluffed. We just have a
yeah,
really
yeah,
trivial bet for value fold to a raise spot.
yeah. And I've only lost like 12 blinds then, haven't I?
Yeah, and well, it's not
Yeah,
when you haven't, because we shouldn't look at it like that.
yeah,
We've made a plus EV decision pre, we've made a plus EV decision flop, we played a plus E decision play turn, turn on the turn, and now we make a zero EV decision by folding
yeah. On minus, yeah.
rather than a minus EV
Mm,
by continuing in some capacity.
that's okay. Good. And I'm guessing he's going to bet now.
I mean, that should be a card that slows him down quite often because he's kind of repping. Man, you're repping sets and straights on the turn. But his sets
Three,
now.
four.
I mean, I guess his sets probably still want to bet. We don't
That's
have
the
that
four
much.
liner to a straight.
Well, we don't have tons of 5x in our cut-off range, do we? We have 5-6 at a low frequency, 5-4 at a low frequency, ace 5, king 5, queen 5. So we do have some
Yeah.
5x, but I don't know. Anyway, that it's by the by because this hand, the minute he called out the small blind pre, it kind of trying to look at it from a
He's quite,
theory
yeah,
perspective gets out the window. I mean, he's saying now he's got
yeah.
a straight, isn't he? That's what he's saying.
He, yeah, he's quite aggro by the look of it. I'm trying to remember this. I can't remember who he is now. But he's bet flop for 65, bet turn 76. And he's bet river 53. He's won 3
What
from
you want
10.
here, though, is his race frequencies and the sample's too small.
Yeah, I've got it down here. Yeah, that's the win. Yeah, that's probably this hand when he wins. Yeah, he's only one, and he's raised river once out of 190 hands. Okay, now you know what I'm going to do now, don't you?
Yeah, sadly.
I know, sadly to me too. And what did he have? Pocket three. He did have pocket three. No, he did
Yeah.
have a good hand. Okay.
If it walks like a duck and it quacks, it's just a duck, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, yeah, that's fair enough. Oh dear me. I'm looking at this now, and the only other thing I can think of, which it's not defensible, I should have stopped, is that this guy was quite aggro. So that's why I was kind of, but we're just too deep, aren't we? If he's aggro though, I should let him bet really rather
No,
than
we should keep betting our hand because we have a value hand. We shouldn't
on the
be
turn,
looking
yeah?
at we shouldn't be looking at this like, oh, if we check back the turn, we'd have lost less. We don't play to try and like lose the minimum with good hands. We try and extract the max value with good hands, and then when someone says to us, "I've got a better than one pair hand," we start folding one pairs. I think
Yeah, yeah,
this
okay.
hand, if we'd have gone check bet call, check bet call, check bet call, and somehow he ends up with a better hand, so what? That's fine. You played the hand fine, but against this line on this board, you just need to understand. We get to the turn, the SPR is going to be 11.5 to 12.5, something like
Yeah.
that, and it's like, right, okay, I
And
bet this hand, but I'm not stacking off with it, and then it's just easy. We just bet
yeah,
fold
yeah.
it. SPR is too big to continue versus raise. He has to raise this hand because he needs to get the SPR down so we can like jam the river and get value. So we just have a really simple decision on the turn, bet, and when we get
Yeah.
raised on this such a dry board, we just have an annoying fold because even if he is bluffing a little bit more than population, he'll still really struggle to be over bluffing here. Massively struggle.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just not a spot where you're gonna find 99% of the pool over bluffing. They're going to be way under bluffing. They're going to have all the value. They're going to have very few of the bluffs. It's just a shit spot, and we should have lost.
Yeah.
We should not have lost as much money as this.
No.
We should have lost 100 big blinds less in this hand.
Yeah, yeah. Is ace king a fold on the turn?
Yeah, ace king and ace jack's the same hand.
Yeah, that's what I was
Virtually.
thinking. Yeah, so ace king, ace queen. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Ace king, ace jack. Just
We're
yeah,
just
ace
folding
queen, all of
range,
them.
basically.
Yeah,
We have
yeah, yeah,
7-5 suited once in the blue moon. We have sets that we're not folding, of course.
yeah, yeah.
And
Which was
that's
all
about
win,
it.
weren't they? Yeah,
That's about
yeah,
it.
yeah.
I mean, it's a tough spot if we've got like ace 3, ace 4, ace 6. Then it's tough. Then
But
it's a
yeah,
lot closer.
yeah,
Because
because
we just
we're
have like
blocking his flushes then, and
we're
sorry, we're
blocking
blocking his
sets
sets
a
then,
little.
aren't we?
We're blocking sets a little bit, and if he is a sort of player, and these players do exist, who's flatted ace king pre and is now overplaying, then we're ahead of that too. But we're not even ahead of ace queen and ace king here.
Yeah. No, no. I got a feeling. Yeah, this this chat is going to stop me doing this next week. I tell you, if I promise you that, if nothing else.
Well,
Right,
let's
here
hope
we
so.
go. Next hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, queens. That's a nice start to the hand. I open. Oh God, that worked. Okay, right. Who we got? We got him. We got him, and we got him. This guy's not in it. I don't think is he. So let's get the action to me first. Check. Check. We've got an overpair against 4 people, 3 people.
So what did we
And
talk
there's
about last
flush.
week in multi-way pots? What was
Play,
the
play against the
takeaway?
tightest range, or play
Yes.
against the strongest range. Yeah.
Yeah. What
Now,
worry about the strongest range and build from there. So who's got the strongest range here? Except us, of course.
um, well, there's a 59 VPIP call behind me. I would say the small blinds are 39 VPIP, but I would say the person who's got the tightest range VPIP wise is actually called from the big blind. So I would expect his range to be quite wide because of the price he's getting. I think he's having a so I would say it's a bit weird that the swirl blind didn't
The whole
raise, isn't it?
thing's weird. I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah,
anyone's got a strong
yeah.
range here. We've
No,
got 59-8, we've got a 39-8, and we've got some guy who looks aggro who hasn't squeezed from the big blind. I mean, there's obviously plenty of ways that we are beat, but I think we just have to bet here.
yeah, because we've got an overpair. Yeah, yeah.
We just need to bet and thin the field, clean up equity, etc. It's really
Okay.
tempting to rip. So it's like, right, I'm checking here because it's multi-way, blah, blah, blah. I know I'm not supposed to bet much in multi-way pots, but our hand's strong. It can get value, and it really could do with thinning the field. So I think we just have a bet
Yeah.
here.
Okay. I bet.
Yeah,
Huge
not
pot.
sure it would go that big, but fine. I'm not going to argue with it because we can still get plenty of calls from
Yeah.
ones. I would have gone a bit smaller, but I'm really not going to split hairs over it.
No problem. So we got rid of 1. Okay. I don't like that card, obviously. Complete some straight draws, but I double block the straight, didn't it?
We blocked the
But now
straight. We
this,
blocked king queen as well. Yeah, it's a
I'm
bad.
not going to bet again. I don't think.
Yeah, we can't bet this
Yeah.
turn card. It's going to be our hand's not strong enough to bet now. Again, into 2 people.
Oh, fold. Oh, please don't. I fucking called it.
Yeah, well we know
Oh,
we know we're seeing the river at least, so we know this street's going to not fold. So
I
we've got
presume
a
I gonna.
59-8 who's called a bet multi-way, and he's now potting the turn versus albeit versus 2 checks, but he's still potting the turn versus 2 players. And looking at his bet stats,
And it
he
doesn't.
looks
He doesn't bet very often.
yeah,
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
not super aggro. He's not the most passive. Don't get me wrong, I've seen more passive than him, but he's not super aggro.
No, far from it. Yeah. I know. I presume I call
But why do you think you've called here? And I agree. This
frustration.
is a pretty annoying spot. We have a we have a gut shot, but that's a
Yeah.
big deal.
I-
We do block some value, like king queen. I mean, but the guy can have Jack, King Jack. He can have sets at slow play at the flop. He can have King 9, I guess. It's 59-8. He can have King 6. Bluffs, yeah, there's
He can
loads of
have
bluffs available. It's a weird spot because he might be
he
just
can
like
have a suited king. He could just like have a suited king of spades, couldn't he?
he could
That's
maybe just have.
yeah,
There's all sorts. He's got a
like
really wide range. He's got
yeah.
a really wide range pre. He's probably still got a relatively wide range. No, maybe not. No, that's not true because we bet 70% on the flop. So that's going to
Mm.
fold a lot of his shit out. So he doesn't really reach this turn with loads of shit hands. He reaches his turn with flush draws. He reaches his turn with
Which can have a king.
stuff that's
Yeah.
trapped on the flop. Um, King X shouldn't be especially good for him.
I think he can have the suited king of spades. He could have king 9 of spades easy, couldn't he? Or king 10 of
Yeah,
spades. He
but
could have
if
all,
but if
probably have
he's
all.
passive, he will probably check that back at a decent frequency. I mean, he's potted it, so he's made a. We got a passive player here using a polarizing bet size. So I don't think
So
he's
he
just got one pair
probably
here. I think he's either got a bluff, or I think he's got
king
a
9 or
strong
spades.
hand, two
Yeah,
pair plus.
2 pair or better. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But there's loads
This
of
is
like potential bluffs available if we think he's the
mm,
type to just start firing with draws here.
yeah,
And I wasn't at the
yeah, yeah,
table. I don't know who the player is. I don't know. Um, I would personally fold. I'd have a harder time for if it half potted. I think it's a foot. I think it's a much more annoying spot. I think the fact he's potted lets us off the hook, and we just fold this hand and just continue with hands that have
yeah,
far
yeah,
better equity versus a polarized range,
yeah,
which is going to include all the value, but nowhere near all of the bluffs. Because these sort of players, he might call the flop with a flush draw, 8-7 of spades or something, and they might just check back. For example,
mm,
quite often you see these players 8-7 of spades, 8-7 of clubs. I don't know, fucking ace-X of spades, ace-X of clubs, and they'll just
yeah,
check back. And then when they reach rivers and they get checked to, maybe then they'll bluff because they don't want to get raised on the turn when they've got a draw. But when they get to the river
yeah,
and
yeah,
they've got to the river with too many passively played missed draws, then they end up with too many hands to bluff with and possibly end up over bluffing. But I
yeah.
don't think they're over bluffing the turn. And
And
now
this has to
I
be check,
understand what's going to happen here. You're
check
going to
call.
check call because draws have missed. I mean, if we check call on that turn for a pot size bet, it's hard to imagine that you're going to want to check for the river. Even though I think we shouldn't be in this spot. Even though I
Oh my
think
God.
the idea of I called turns, I have to call river is fucking bullshit because ranges change from street to street. I understand the logic that's taking you there this time.
Because it's only 2/3, yeah. But that's still bad.
Yeah, I
I,
think
sh- I should have folded it, yeah.
I understand why you've
Yeah,
made this call. I think the turn was
it's where it went wrong.
where it went wrong. Yeah,
I guess then I lose. Weird, he's king. What the fuck?
we play in interesting pools, don't we?
Yeah. Not in his 8% pre-flop raise. Oh, it'd be a 3-bet actually, wouldn't it? Not in his
Yeah.
5%. Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Move it along,
I really
sir.
thought he was repping better hand than that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
thought he
did I.
was- I thought
So
he-
did I.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay. Let me see. I know what I've done here. He limp folds 70% of the time. And this play is really tight. So I've decided to try and steal it.
Fine. No issue with that whatsoever.
I would think I probably went up to about 5 or 6.
Yep, again, no issue with that.
Didn't work. Okay. Second pair. Oh. He's 77. This is, I know I've got myself, I've done this to myself. Here we go. What am I going to do? I've got a second pair. I think he's going to fold. Well, this is the point. If I'm betting now, am I betting for value or am I trying to get rid of him? I think I can get value if I bet small. but I don't really like it because I've got second pair and I feel like I'm repping the ace. Um, I'm gonna say I probably bet small, and I bet about three big blinds, um, 3 or 4 big blinds, which is smaller than my pre-flop bet. Um, what would I do now? Is what you want to know, isn't it?
It's a weird
I
spot.
think
I'm
I
trying
would.
to think it through
Yeah,
myself because
I
we've
think I would check.
got
Yeah,
a good board for range, bad board
yeah.
for hand, and against somebody who limps 70%, but then he's limping 77%, but then when he's ISO'd, he's folding 70% of that range. So he now gets to this flop with a relative, not a tight range, but a relatively tight range. It's just going to be like pretty good hand. It's going to be two
He's got
broadways.
ace
It's going to
highs,
be
hasn't he? Yeah.
pocket pet. I mean, the guy's not limp folding deuces, for example. You know,
No.
so he's got pocket pairs that we're way ahead of. He's got some broadways that we're ahead of. It's a weird spot because we kind of want to. I don't want to give up the lead here because I don't want to start check calling versus this type of player, but I don't want to value cut ourselves either. I think I'd just start off with the small bet like you're going to and just see what happens.
Yeah,
It's a
that's what I
weird
think.
spot. I think I don't like checking because we check. He starts betting. We get 77-12. I don't want to start bluff catching versus that type of player. So I'm just going to start off with a bet. And frankly, it's really mergy, and I'm quite happy if they fold.
Yeah, same here.
It's an odd spot. Yeah, I like the
So
size.
that's about third. That's the third. Yeah. He calls, which is not. Ooh.
So we pick up a gut shot.
Yeah, an 8. Yeah. But the spot's now 20 big blinds. He's got 95. So I actually think I should go into check call mode now
Why?
because um, if unless I bet really small, normally I would size up on my turn bet, which I really do not want to do because I'm basically turning my hand into a bluff. And I suppose that I've got a gut shot. Um, if I, so I'm not going to size up. That's guaranteed. I'm not going to make a bigger than half pot bet. I'm just trying to debate whether the third pot would be. But if he calls me, me, I don't really like the spot I'm in. Say, for example, I bet 7 big blinds this time or 8, yeah?
Yep.
That if he calls me, that's going to make the pot nearly 40 big blinds. And I really don't like that spot. So I would prefer to check because he might check back.
Here's the issue I
If he
have
makes
with
a
check
small bet.
with you specifically, because I think it's close here between continuing to bet small as a method of pot control, rather than like I'd rather bet 1/3 here than check call 2/3. I think bet 1/3
Oh, I
is
see what you
higher
mean.
EV than check call 2/3 versus a 77-12, whose betting range
Yeah, plus he
is
might.
going to
Yeah,
be, stronger than his calling range, I would imagine.
yeah,
If that makes sense. I think is the EV of us betting 1/3 here and then getting called by 9x, getting called by draws, etc. Only getting called by ace x rather than raised by ace x is better than checking and then facing a 2/3 pot sized bet, which is just likely to be too value orientated.
yeah,
Um, my issue, I don't mind checking with the idea of calling versus small bets or just trying to check and show our hand down. If the plan's check, fold to big bet, cycle versus small bet, try and check
no,
down. If that's
yeah,
the plan, fine. My issue is with you, the way you were playing last week, is that you're going to check he's going to bet 2/3 pot, 3/4 pot, etc., and you're going to convince yourself to call because you've checked and you've invited bluffs.
Showing weakness. Yeah. I think. Yeah, I'm worried that might happen actually. But in the cold light of day today, I I think obviously check calling. I think it should be check fold to big bet. And when I say big bet, anything above half pot, actually including half pot.
No, I think it's close versus half. I think once you start getting up to 2/3 pot, etc., that's when I think
Yeah,
like Fisher's ranges start splitting way too much
yeah.
in
So that's
favour of like stuff that has
yeah.
10xp. I think if it's a half pot or less, I think we still have a reasonable call
Okay,
with our
yeah.
hand.
I'm with you.
2/3 pot or more. I think like 2/3 pot or bigger, in my opinion, is when fish start going from being merged to being quite polar, and then the polar rate, the polar bet size, not having enough bluffs in it to justify bluff catching.
Yeah, I'm with you. I know. I agree. Right. Let's see what I did. Let's see what hole I dug myself. Oh my God.
Jesus Christ, that is what Pete Clark would call a polarization error. We bet way too big here with a marginal hand. But what he means by polarization error is pretty much like, you're betting hands that probably shouldn't be betting, and you're using too much of a big size. So that's what he means by that.
Yeah.
So like, we're just what it essentially does is it means you only end up having hands continue against you that you don't have good equity against.
Worse. Yeah, worse. I'm worse than everything that calls now.
Yeah.
I think what I've done here, and this is me tilting, and I felt like I'd ironed this out of my game from our sessions like before Christmas. I used to do this a lot with like say if I had like top two pair and a flush would come, I'd make a big bet and it'd be like go away bet. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's what that's the only way I can make sense of this is I've just bet here, turned my hand into a bluff, and I've tried to get him to fold, which I hate. I
What are you
absolutely
trying
hate
to make
what
him
I've
fold?
done. It's actually quite torture.
Tell me what you're trying to make him
I
fold,
don't
fella.
know. King, king, queen, king, jack,
You're better.
queen,
You've got better
jack.
hands
I
than
don't
them.
know.
We need
I
to.
know. I'm beating
We
him.
need.
Yeah.
We need. We need. I want to
Yeah.
know what you're trying to make him fold. Like, what are you trying to bluff him off? So I phrase the question back.
Yeah. He can't.
What are you trying to bluff him off?
Oh, yeah. I know. So yeah, he hasn't got jacks, has he? He hasn't got queens.
Well, you might have.
You
It's
don't buy
77. It's 77-12. He could very easily have those hands.
But well, kings you'd think would definitely three bet me, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Queen kings would raise. I think queens would probably. I don't know. Yeah, that's a good point. What am I trying? I'm trying to bluff. Yeah, I see
I'd
what you
say
mean.
the hands that could feasibly fold to this would be King 10 and Queen 10. And he probably
Yeah,
has
better
them.
10.
If he has the offsuit versions, he's got a lot of them. If he has the suited versions, he hasn't. He's got two of each. It's just a bad bet, fella. We can run around in circles about we do sometimes get to fold better. It's just a bad bet. If we're going to bet here, we need to be using a block size to allow worse hands to call to make it a profitable bet. And if we're checking, we need to before we hit the check button, just set some rules about how big a bets are we willing to call here. What's our cutoff?
Yeah.
Again, this is honestly from my point of view, this is disappointing to see because this is like going back in time.
Yeah. From when we first spoke.
Yeah.
Like. Yeah. Right. Okay. I and he's called, and I don't think I'm ever ahead of him now.
Well, we're still ahead of draws.
I don't think.
Now we're not ahead of some of his draws. On the turn, he can still call that with Queen Jack, King Queen maybe, King Jack maybe, spade
Especially
draws,
with the spade. Yeah.
Now we just have a trivial check fold.
Yeah.
And we sometimes win against King Jack give ups, Queen Jack give ups, etc. I have no idea what's going on here, fella. I have literally no clue what you're doing here. And honestly, I'm not sure you did either.
No. I don't think I did on the turn either. I don't think I thought the turn through. I think this week. I know I'm going to go back. I'm going to play one table less because if that is the reason, because I don't understand really why I sized up on the turn, and I've just put myself in this situation now. This is a block bet. Please don't tell me he raises and I call him. Oh, fuck off. Fuck off.
That might be one of the first
Well,
times I've heard you swear. Fucking love it. I absolutely love it. I mean, if you call this off, I'm ending the call. We're done. We're through.
I folded. Oh, okay. I folded. So I don't know what he had.
I think we can safely assume it was better than whatever that is.
I honestly thought then, I honestly thought when he raised then, I thought, shit, I've hit the call button, but thankfully I didn't. That was a block on the river, in my mind. And at least I thought, I mean, I don't know. Let's move on to the next one, shall we?
Well, no, because it's no. Why are you blocking that river?
Well, thinking about it, if he's got a hand like a 10, I'm trying to think what would call me. Maybe, I don't know if a 9 would call with it, a weaker 10. I don't think has he even got them, like 10-8 or something. I don't know.
Right. Here's the thing. You're looking at like specific hands here. Like, the way to look at this is that if this goes check, how often do you think we have the best hand?
Not very often after my big bet on the turn because the only time it goes check. If it goes check on the river after I've bet big on the turn, because it was quite big, wasn't it? The flush has got there. I mean, you would think if he had a hand like, I would think anyway, if he had a hand like that was like a miss straight, if you like, I think he would bet. I'd be very surprised if he's got a 9 or a 7 now. So I don't think I would win very often. Less than 50%.
So why on earth are we value betting?
Yeah, I'm with you.
I think on check on this river, there's 55 blinds in the pot. We maybe win 30 to 40% of the time because he'll have some give ups. He'll have some Jack Queen that just gives up. He'll have some King Jack that just gives up. So we get to win versus his missed draws that don't bluff.
Yeah.
We get to win versus 9x that checks back. We get to win versus 10-8 suited and things like that. So we do have some pot share on check, but we don't win. We probably lose more often than we win. So if we want to bet this river, we want to be doing it as a bluff. So we don't want to choose this size.
No.
Does bluffing generate more EV here than checking and winning at showdown, say, 30% of the time? It doesn't. So we just have a check fold.
Yeah.
But instead of sitting thinking, well, if we bet here, we might call with a 10 or a 9, etc. You think about, right, okay, on check, do I win very often? If the answer is no, then we definitely don't value bet. Then we have to consider, well, is my hand now so low in my range, I need to bluff with it? And if so, does my hand have good bluffing qualities? And no, it doesn't. It doesn't have a spade in it, which we'd probably want to have to bluff here. So it's just a matter of that we've got relatively poor equity here, and we just check our hand, and we just sometimes get to win on check when King Jack checks back, or when pocket sixes checks back, things like that.
Yeah, and maybe things like 8-7 or I don't know. I suppose 8-7 could get there.
You seem to struggle to think in terms of like how much pot share do I have. Before we make any decision, we should be considering, and we don't always do it. We autopilot. We all fucking do it. But in spots like this, where the pot's relatively big, it's time to concentrate. Yeah, everyone autopilots through the boring bits, but this isn't a boring bit. This is the biggest pot, and mistakes are going to be very costly. So we need to really like hunker down. Right, okay,
Yeah.
how much equity do I have versus range here? I have maybe 30% equity. So therefore, I
Yeah.
either bluff or I check.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. Yeah. 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 I think a lot of these hands I've gone into autopilot, and my autopilot is bad, if you know what I mean. I really have to be concentrating on my A game to be winning against these players, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
And as soon as
increasing
I
volume
autopilot,
when you're not playing well or when you're not
it's bad.
good
Uh,
enough to increase volume, it's a bad idea. And
yeah,
all you do is
that's
you
what
just
I've done this week.
you
Yeah,
reduce your win rate and you reduce your hourly.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
false economy.
That, yeah. That's what I've done this week, I think. And I think because at the end of last week I did it, maybe I just ran good, or maybe I just concentrated really hard. Do you know what I mean? Because I knew I was increasing it. I think I've got. I definitely. But anyway, we're where we are. Right, Ace Queen. Surely I open. Yes. Oh, got position. Big blind call. Oh. Ooh. Against a completely unknown player. I against a completely unknown player. That is his range, isn't it? I can make it.
Who knows?
Obviously I can.
Again, we need
I
to think about equity. We need 25% equity to call here. Do you think we have 25% equity in this pot?
yes, I
Yes.
do.
So we just call in, don't we?
Yeah. If he does it again, I should fold. And I didn't, obviously. Great. Okay. What am I doing? Why did I call this bet? I don't know who this player. I've never even played a hand with him. He's called me my end of the gun. Oh well, middle position in it, but and then he's bet into me twice, and I've got ace high. This is a trivial fold now, isn't it?
It's irritating because we're still ahead of bluffs. We're ahead of 8-7, for example. We're ahead of 4-5. We're ahead of just random nonsense. So I think it's close. Could we still have like pair outs? He might give up river and we win on showdown. So I think it's close.
Yeah. If he bets again on the river and I improve though,
Well, that's good.
that could get me in trouble.
Well,
Yeah,
you can't
Jake.
get that much trouble because there's going to be a pot-sized bet left, and that's it. He's only got 20 bigs.
It's only got 20, yeah, I suppose.
So I think this is close. We don't know anything about him, so we don't know. Like, is this guy? Could he just have a random fucking, totally random bluff here? Yeah, are his bluffs going to be equity driven, which are going to be stuff like 10-7, 9-7, 8-7, 4-5, etc. You know,
Yeah.
if he's doing
And
this with say 3x, then which he might be because we just don't know. Then we haven't got the correct odds to call against that.
yeah.
So we haven't got the correct odds against his made hands. But I think there might be enough. I wouldn't fold here yet. Anyway, I'd see one more card because I think we hit a pair on the river. We're probably gonna, we're probably gonna get the rest of his stack.
That's the first decision today that I've made the same as you, I hope. Yeah, I called. Right, oh God, what happens on the river? He's got a pot. He's going to pot it. And I'm going to double him up. That's what's going to happen.
Well, a lot of
No.
his draws are pairs now, aren't they? Now, just do we bluff or not?
Oh God. I presume if I bet, surely I just go all in because he's got less than a pot there. I presume I didn't check because This in this
The
list.
7's an awkward card because it completes 4-5. It gives 8-7 a pair.
But he would have bet. He would have bet 4-5, wouldn't he?
You would
And he
imagine.
would have bet 5. You'd have bet 5-10 if he's got that.
Well,
Hang
no,
on. No,
5-10 is
5-8,
nothing,
5-8.
isn't it?
Sorry, 5, 6, 7, 8. Sorry, 10-8. I meant. Sorry, 10-8.
Yeah, 10-8 would definitely bet too. So I think he's capped his range now to being at one pair and give-ups. So the question now is, how many give-ups he got versus one pair? Like he might just be checking a 9 now, but is he going to fold a 9, for example? Are we going to try and make him fold a 9?
Okay.
But can we make him fold a 6? Can we make him fold a 3?
He could have He could have a hand that was a straight draw and has just hit a 7.
Yes.
Couldn't he?
Can we make him fold a 7? Can we make him fold 8-7 here, for example?
Probably. It's sat here now, I would say no. Because I would think he's got less than a pot. He's just thought, I'd have it my straight. But I've got a pair. I'm just going to check call.
I would bluff here personally. I think we have to. I don't think we win enough at showdown with the 7 coming.
There you go.
Yeah, I don't mind this.
You must have. If he's called, he's got to have me beat, hasn't he? Queen 9. Oh, Queen would have got me in trouble, wouldn't it? Yeah, but there we go. Yeah. Okay.
Right. I don't hate the way you played that one. I think we probably have to bluff the river to try and get 6x, 3x to fold, which who knows if he's got them or not. But the problem with these fishy players is when they're like leading out of position, they are pretty merged like this. You know, the turns, like the flops, whatever, turn is a bit mergy because he's now only got second pair. When he checks the river, he's always going to be capped to one pair or worse. And then the question is like, does he have enough like worse hands that we just win at showdown against? Or is it safer to bluff? Because, he's going to call you with a 9. But is he going to call you with a 6? Is he even betting a 6 on the turn? We don't know. Is he going to call you with a 7? It's a bit of a mucky hand. I don't hate the river jam. I think you can't fold flop. Turn, maybe we can think about folding. River, I think we probably have to bluff because we can just get better hands to fold. Like 3x, 9x. If he's got pocket 6s, pocket 8s, 6x, 3x, etc. So it's not a pretty one, but it's certainly not the worst one we've seen today.
No. Reg, can we pause for 1 second while I nip to the loo?
Certainly can, mate. There we go. Let's crack on then. Yep, I'm here. Let's crack on, fella.
Right, 2 to go. Oh, God. I think this one's bad. Right, let's have a look. You're recording, yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, I've opened to 3.5. Standard for me. Didn't work.
Oh, it did work, depending on your perspective. You've got 2 players with 2 bad players to call, and we got a good hand, and we got position.
Okay, so what do I lose here then? Right. I'm betting.
Absolutely.
I think my standard would be 3rd, but maybe go a bit bigger.
I'd go a bit bigger here versus 2 fish.
Yeah, maybe 5 or 6, yeah? I didn't.
Doesn't matter. Okay. It's just a flop bet. Who cares? It's not a big deal.
Okay, here we go. King 7. I think. Oh, there's a straight there now, but I think I can bet again. Is it action to me? I think I would size it up, and I would go about 60-70%.
I'd maybe go even bigger. But yeah, definitely on a larger bet size.
Okay. 12-2.
Yeah, happy with that. I think we could consider overbetting that turn against a fish, to be honest.
Okay. He calls very often. Right, hang on a minute. What could possibly go wrong there? He checks.
Bet again. Full two
I'm
raise.
gonna bet. I'm gonna bet about 3/4, maybe a pot. No, 3/4.
I'd probably size down a bit here. I'd probably be in the. Yeah, I'm not going to argue. 3/4 fine. Yeah, I was thinking more 2/3, but we really are splitting hairs there. I'd be using my
Okay.
like 70% button here, and I'd be really, really, really hoping not to get raised. But I think our hand's too strong to check back. I also think as a really like
It's less than 3/4.
just
Yeah.
exploit the guy here, we can just bet really small, just like blocking position on the river. I think that's a fine option as well. Again, it comes out like what's our equity on check. Probably upwards of 80%. So we know we certainly need to be betting this. But our equity on check raise plummets.
Well, I've got less than a pot behind now. So I've done it to myself. Yeah. I presume he's going to check raise me. That's why this is here, isn't it?
I would guess so.
Yeah, because nothing else has happened that's interesting. So if I'd sized it down, so say if a block size would be about 13 or something like that.
Yeah, I'd probably. I mean, I'd probably use this size, but I think using small is interesting as well.
Yeah, but
like if we're using this size, we're looking to get called by worse king X, etc., and maybe hands like pocket tens, pocket jacks start folding. Whereas if we use say 40%, then we get called by way, way, way more bluff catchers. I don't mind either way. Either way, it's a bet fold. It's just like how wide are we trying to get called? If we're going this size, then we're kind of zeroing in on king jack, king 10, pocket jacks that didn't 3-bet, pocket queens that didn't 3-bet, etc. Whereas when we go, say, 40%, we can now start getting called by all these bluff catchers, pocket 8s, etc. 7x, 6, 7 will be another one that could call versus smaller. But I don't hate this size, but you're going to get raised, I imagine, and we're going to be dead.
I'm dead. Yeah. I'm dead.
Yeah, we are. This is just not a bluff anywhere near high enough frequency here to justify calling off. We need him we need to be beating value or beating bluffs here. Like by the time we put the extra rake in, like 32, 33% of the time. And I just think that's so unlikely. If they're punting, if they are just fucking punting and spewing off, good for them. It's just so unlikely though. Like check call, check raise river. We've just been trapped at some point. I don't think the nine's changed very much, to be honest. I suspect we've been trapped.
Yeah. Let's see what he had. King 7.
Wow.
Check me on the turn.
Wow. But yeah, it's not surprising.
It felt like a set, didn't it?
Yeah, well, set,
it felt like
8-6, whatever. Just good hands. Good players are unbalanced when they check raise bluff rivers. These sort of players are just even more unbalanced.
Yeah. Should I ever check back?
No. We have to value bet. We got a fish.
Yeah.
We got top pair, good kicker against a fish. We have to value bet. Just when they raise, we just have to make some heroic folds because it's just not bluffed anywhere near. We only need 30%. We only need 30% equity to break even there. I don't think we get close to that in reality.
No, I don't either.
We bet flop multi-way. We bet big on the turn. We bet big on the river. We're saying we've got a very good hand, and he's saying, "I don't give a fuck, mate. I'm all in."
Yeah, because all of his it was a rainbow flop, and his kind of straight draws have either made a straight or they've made a pair. Do you know what I mean? So I don't see why he would turn that into a bluff. Yeah, I should. Well, I think what I've done here is I've left less than a pot behind, and I've just I've got the price is too good, which is maybe wrong way to look. Well, it is the wrong way to look at it, isn't it?
You just got to. What you need to do this week is just think equity all the time. SPR
yeah.
equity. Like, how much equity do I need to stack off here, etc. Like, it's
Yeah,
not.
I'm going to
It's
write
not
that down.
enough to be like, oh well, I've committed myself. I have to call. That's bullshit. It's not
Yeah, that's wrong.
2007
That's
anymore.
wrong. Yeah.
You know, if the guy's
Yeah, yeah.
repping a significantly stronger hand than us, and bluffs are really they're hard to find in theory here. They're even harder to find in practice from a fish. You know, I
Yeah.
imagine if we put this hand, which we couldn't do, but if we were to put this into a solver and assume that we were just like button versus small blind, in fact, let's just try and do that. Let me pause it a minute and let's pretend this has been a
I guess.
single raise pot. Let's get GTO with
See what happens, yeah.
button open. Yeah, we're allowed to have calls from the small blind. Not many, but
Okay.
we're allowed to have them. It's just out of interest sake. I mean, this could be a complete waste of time. In fact, let's make it that the big blind's called. So fuck that off. We'll make it that the big
That's what I
blind's
was
called
thinking.
instead. And what was the flop again? King 5-4 rainbow, was it?
Yeah.
What were the
And then,
suits? What were the suits, fella, please?
Five of hearts, king of clubs, and 4 of diamonds.
Check. We bet 1/3, didn't we? I know this isn't going to be super accurate. I'm just interested if it bet folds king queen on the river in a heads up scenario versus big blind. Call. Turn was 7 or something, wasn't it?
7 of clubs. 7 of clubs.
No, it was rainbow, wasn't
So-
it? On the did the turn? Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, the
No.
turn did bring a flush draw.
Flush draw, yeah.
Check. We bet 75 or thereabouts. He calls again. And the river was
9 of spades.
9 of spades. Check. We go with. Let's just go with half for argument's sake. What's the most popular solver size? Half. So we'll go with half. And now
And then
villain.
half pot fold up.
Now villain goes all in. Yeah, we're mostly folding king queen suited here.
King queen of hearts folds, is it?
King queen of hearts folds 71.6% of the time. Now I know what we've done there isn't anything like a perfect science, but if it's folding at equilibrium versus a big blind range, then I think versus the fish who's caught out the small blind, I just think it's just an easy fold.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't have anywhere near enough equity to call, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that could have been a relatively pointless exercise doing that. But I just wanted to see, like, is king queen a fold in Solverland here? And it is. So it's a very high percentage fold anyway. It's mixing a few calls in, but not many. So if it's a fold in Solverland, like button versus big blind, it just has to be a fold. Button versus small blind when it was multi-way on the flop. And we're up against someone who's just like going to be way, way under bluffing.
Does it ever check back on the river in Solverland?
If I can,
I don't think I ever would against these guys, but these players. But I just wondered if it.
Why I can't get it to come on my fucking screen for some reason, fella. Hang on a minute while the pause. We're having some problems with technology, so we don't know basically. But I imagine there will be some checking back. It won't be a pure bet.
Cool.
Put it that way.
Yeah, I'm with you. Ah, well.
Right, let's do the last one, Squire, because I know you've got to go in 20 minutes.
Right. I am in the car with Queen 10. He limps. Which guy is this? Villain 2. He limp folds more than 50%. So I'm presuming that's why.
Yeah, this is a thin ISO, but whatever.
Yeah. And that didn't work. 8%. Oh, he's only had 12 hands. So. Okay. Top pair. He's gone, like I expected. But I'm out of position with top pair. I'm going to make a small bet, I think.
Yeah, I think just bet 130 is going to be pretty standard. I could also think about checking as well. Oh.
Are you going to ask me why I did that?
Care to explain?
Or no? That is not my standard move. And this is bad. I think this is for... well, I don't know why I've done this. I think...
Was it your period last week? Were you on the fucking blob or something? Because you've had a nightmare, haven't you?
I know. I feel like honestly, I think if I sat here drinking special brew playing, I'd have made some of the better decisions. Honest to God.
Drinking special brew and fucking with a massive fucking spliff in your hand.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. That's exactly. I think I must have been tilted. I think, and I'm not justifying it. Tilting is bad. Do you know what I mean? We shouldn't tilt.
We all do
But
it.
I think,
It's just we need to learn from it, you know.
yeah, I think what I've wanted to happen here is I've obviously seen this guy limp, and I know he limp folds a lot. So I've ISO'd. And I think I've got frustrated because someone has called behind me, and I'm playing it out of position. And I've tried to get, and I don't know why I've decided to bet big. I think I should have just bet small. But I think I haven't thought this through, and I've got frustrated, and I've bet big.
And I expect
now,
we've probably got a hand that we're going to want to try and get a fair chunk of value from. We get on the flop, we've got SPR 5, and we've got top pair.
5, yeah.
So we're probably going to be investing quite a lot in this pot. But I just we don't need to invest this size, because if he calls here, we're going to get to a turn with an SPR probably just about 2.
27, yeah, 27.
So we just don't need to make.
Yes,
we don't need to choose this size on the flop in order to. If we do want to like go bet shove here, we don't need to use this size. And bet shove would be a bit thin, but you're playing in soft games, so I wouldn't hate it. But I think when we choose the bigger size on the flop, he ends up folding too much of his range that we can then profitably go bet turn shove river against. Maybe it's a bit. I mean, he's only a half stacker. He's not going to be good. Maybe it's not too thin, but I just don't think we need to use his size.
I think he's gonna. If he calls, I think we're gonna have SPR for less than 2. I think. Yeah. Actually, yeah, less than 2 now. That card's not terrible. He could have an 8, and if I bet now and he raises me, he probably has bloody got one.
But we're too invested now though, because by the time we bet,
yeah, I think I've got to bet again and expect I'm ahead of his. Oh, I think I'm ahead of his range. That's what I mean. But he did call quite a big bet, and I've only played 12 hands in it, so it's not really helpful. But he's a short stacker. All his jaws will probably call, and there are a few there. Jack 9, 9-7. So now it's rainbow though, isn't it? But
6-5, 6-7 as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Random floats with all the cards. How much equity do you think you have?
Against his entire range?
Yep.
I think I've got more than 50%. I think he can have lots of draws. Lots of straight draws. There's obviously no flush draws.
So
I think he can have pocket
in a different way. How much equity do you have if you just say you bet 1/3 pot here and he calls? How much equity do you think you have enough pot share in order to bet 1/3 pot?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's a bit of a weird thing to do when I've bet 3/4 on the flop.
Yeah, but the problem is the 8's better for him than it is you, because you're not betting 3/4 on the pot with an 8.
Yeah.
On the flop with an 8.
No.
So we have to recognise that, you know, the 8, I'm not saying he has an 8x, but we don't, because we wouldn't bet that size. So when we bet this turn, we're repping like 10x and over pairs.
Well, others, yeah.
We're not betting.
Oh
In it.
yeah,
We're
oh
not.
yeah.
We can't. I don't think we can big bet this turn. That's what I'm saying. Like, if I think, like, you wouldn't want to go all in here, for example, because we wouldn't get called by worse hands enough of the time. But I think we bet 1/3, we maybe can against this player type. Against a reg, I
Okay,
would just check.
Yeah.
But against a fish, I would just continue betting. I don't hate that.
Less than a
Whatever.
half.
I don't hate
Yeah.
that.
That's definitely what I thought at the time. I remember thinking, oh, he's got a bloody 8. He could have one more often than I have. He calls. I don't think he's got an ace. He can have one, obviously, but I don't. It's a bit weird if he's
It's a
got
break,
an ace.
basically.
Yeah.
It doesn't change anything. He hasn't jumped ahead of us on that ace. You wouldn't imagine.
What? Like, he's got 2/3 of a pot behind now, isn't he? Ish. Less. Do I just... I'm not folding no matter what. That's what I'm thinking.
So the question is do we make more EV by betting and having him call with worse, or by checking and allowing all his missed straight draws to bet?
That was exactly what I was thinking. And I think check calling is better.
I think there's more EV in check than there is in bet.
Yeah. Because he could really, if he's missed it straight, try and rep that ace, couldn't he?
He might, you might not
yeah.
even think about, and try to rep the ace. He might just be, well, I've got fucking 9 high, or I've got 6 high, or I've got 7 high, and my man's checked.
Yeah.
So I'm betting. I think check's easily the line here.
I hope that's definitely what I would do now.
And then we just have to cry
and
call
does he jam?
when he jams. We know we're going to run into some 8x. Good for him when we do. We just have to call here because he's got a plethora of missed straight draws. And if he's turning pocket sixes into a bluff, then even better. So yeah, I think there's a couple of sizing issues in that hand, but I think in terms of the actions you've taken, I like them.
Yeah. Well, at least we finished on a high, Reg, innit?
Yeah, what we're going to do this week, mate? What are we going to do? Because we can't have another week like that week. I mean, this last week has been a disaster.
I've gone backwards, haven't I?
Yeah.
I've gone backwards, yeah. What I need to pay attention to, I'm definitely not going to play 4 tables at a time this week because I think that is part of the reason why I'm not noticing the stack to pot because I'm trying to, do you know what I mean? I just feel like I'm not good enough to do that. I don't process things quickly enough in my head. So the 2 main things, that's obviously the first thing. I'm just going to play top maximum of 3 tables at a time. And I'm going to drill I've actually already paid for a month on the pre-flop drills. So I'm going to be banging them out. The 2 notes I've made are check stack to pot because I haven't been doing it properly. Sometimes I am, sometimes I'm not. But when I've called too wide, it's because I haven't checked the guy's stack behind. And I got to think in equity more.
Yeah.
When I'm playing close flop.
Don't try and target specific hands. Just be like, right, okay, what's my pot share on check? And if you think you have like a pretty high pot share on check, then you probably have a value bet. If you think on check you have less than 50%, then you just don't have a bet.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get back to basics. And don't try and be too specific with, oh, well, I could get called by a very small range of hands that I'm good against. It's just like, if this checks down, how often do I win? And if you think you're winning like 70% or more, then you have a definite clear value bet. If you think it's 50%, or if it be 55%, then you can, just to be aware that it's getting thin. You've been way too thin with your bets, in my opinion. You're not sizing.
Yeah.
You see a lot of streamers and what have you, like they complain about like players or bet size equals hand strength. But I think a lot of the time that's a reasonable strategy in games that aren't filled
Like
with
this, yeah.
especially clever players. And I include myself in that, you know. We're playing 10 and L, 25 and L, 50 and L for a reason. It's because we're not
Yeah.
particularly accurate.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, we just
No, I'm with you.
accept that's part of who we are as players. We're not brilliantly well studied. We don't spend fucking 20 hours a week in the lab. We're not especially accurate.
No.
We just hope to be more accurate than our opponents. And you can
Mm.
do that with pretty broad strokes in these games.
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I think what I've done this week as well, I've actually penciled in specific times when I know I've got. I think sometimes what happens with me, and I haven't, I've been playing now for about, I think it's about 6 weeks straight, and this is the first kind of losing week I've had, but it's been a pretty bad week. It's been horrendous, and I think what I've done, partly as well, is I've tried to play when I've got a bit of time, but I haven't got. Do you know what I mean? I haven't got like a good couple of hours.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes I can get frustrated. I didn't want to use it as an excuse because it's not an excuse, but I think sometimes I can get frustrated when I play a short session if I fall behind. Do you know what I mean? And I think what I should be doing is just playing when I've got plenty of time
Yeah, I don't
because
like
I
starting
think
sessions that have a defined endpoint because I agree it does
yeah,
make you start chasing losses more. I don't. I'll do
yeah,
it sometimes
yeah, yeah,
because I've got nothing to do. Like today, for example, I know I've got to leave the house about 20 to 3 in
yeah,
order to go and pick my mate up from college. Um, but I might be bored at 1:30. But then I know I've got. So if I get stuck early, I totally get it. It's a mental game league. You're like, "Oh, I want to get."
100%, 100%, yeah, yeah.
So I don't like doing that.
I
I like to start sessions when I can end when it just feels like a natural spot to end. Uh,
yeah, yeah,
we got my friend Ryan Waller, who he's a fucker for chasing out of losses, and he loves a regrind. And to be fair, he does it pretty fucking well, to be honest. You know, the amount of times he's posted in
yeah,
grass like fucking hell. You know, I was buried and I got out. I was buried and I got out. He's good at it.
yeah,
Um, but it's just a
yeah,
bad
yeah.
mindset. When you're stuck, you just need to be aware that you're not that likely to get out. If you're buried 3 buy-ins and you've only got 40 minutes to go, all you're making for that 40 minutes is whatever your natural hourly is. And just understand
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
I picked it up from a Galphon video earlier this year or last year. Like, it was when you're stuck, you know, you're very unlikely to get out of the hole. You know, the question to ask yourself is, do I want to play for the next however long, knowing I'm only making whatever my natural hourly is? So just say your hourly you're playing 10 and L, you're playing in pretty soft pools. Say your hourly is €3 an hour, and you're stuck
yeah, yeah,
€24. You've had a bad time. You know, just like, right, I've got another hour to play. The chances are I'm only going to make €3. Do I feel like and that's if I play my A game. So that
yeah, yeah,
just chasing to try and get out, it's just going to mean you're going to do more desperate things. But poker is one long session.
yeah.
You know, we
Especially cash, isn't it? Yeah,
trap,
yeah, yeah,
and it's a trap I fall into nowhere near as much as I used to, but I used to fall into a lot. I've had sessions, I think I mentioned it before on video, where I've been ready to stop, I've checked my graph or my session, and I'm stuck 2 big blinds. And I'll be like, oh, just grind till I get green. Fucking pointless. The most pointless thing ever. And
That's
more often
I've
than,
been guilty of
and
that.
what
Yeah,
happens is you get in the green, you quit immediately. And if you don't, if you start losing again, you play another 3 or 4 hours and you end up losing
yeah,
fucking X amount of buy-ins because you're just frustrated, you're annoyed, you don't want to be playing anymore, you're regretting continuing playing, and you just play
yeah,
shit. You just always just be aware that you're always just making it hourly, whether you're fucking
yeah,
crushing, whether you're not.
yeah,
Now, if you're losing and the tables aren't great, then you're not going to be making your hourly going forward. You're going to be making
yeah,
less than your hourly. If you're winning and the tables are good, then you're going to be making more than your hourly. So, like, continue
yeah, yeah.
playing under good conditions and don't continue playing under bad ones. But that's easier said than done because we're human beings.
Real life. Yeah, 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 exactly. But I've actually got a schedule set out this week where I've got time the kids are in school, the wife's out. Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I've got 3 hours, 3 hours, 3 hours. And if I only play 2, that's fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
But at least I've got plenty of time to stop when I want. And I think I've been guilty. I've definitely been guilty of that week. That this week, I mean, I should say. I've tried to fit in like sort of half hour or an hour, and it's just silly, really. But there we go. I've done it now. As long as I learn from it, I think that's the way forward, isn't it?
Yeah, this week's been
Just
a fucking absolute disaster. But it's going to happen. We all have weeks that are fucking disasters.
Yeah.
And it's normally, a lot of it's self-inflicted. Not all of it, some of it's variance, but a lot of it's self-inflicted. And let's be honest, from the hands we've looked at, you haven't played well.
Yeah, and I knew it before we started, didn't I? I said it. Yeah. I knew I hadn't played well.
Do you remember the program Wurzel Gummidge when we were kids?
Yeah.
Yeah. He had different heads, didn't he? You haven't had your clever head on this week. You've had your fucking raging tilt head on. And
yeah, big time.
It's just one of them things. But we need to that head needs to go off. Before you start your next session, you just need to remember, right, okay, what we're doing here. Primarily, we're playing a fishy pool against bad players. So we're primarily just looking for value. Value.
Yeah.
And then looking for spots to be aggressive where either we have a significant range advantage or we have good reads on our opponents that they are going to be overfolding certain nodes, etc. But just try not to overcomplicate things. It's just play a really simple strategy. Raise good hands pre-flop. Continue putting money in when you like your equity, and stop putting money in when you don't like your equity. It's really quite simple. And when you don't like your equity, just choose bluffs that have a reasonable chance of success. So ones that don't interact with draws that have missed, ones that do block some of the value hands they might have, etc. Rather than just, I need to bluff to win this pot. So it doesn't matter what my cards are, doesn't matter what the board is, doesn't matter what his range is. I'm just fucking bluffing. Try and be a bit more accurate with your bluffs. You don't have to be as accurate with your value betting because most players are just going to have bluff catchers. So you just, when they're in the passive nodes, they're either going to be bluff catching or they're going to be folding most of the time. So when they don't call, when they raise, you just need to get the fuck out because we know they're overfolding and we know they're still calling too wide. So they're overfolding.
Yeah.
They're calling a bit too wide still, even though those two things contradict each other. But what they're fucking not doing is bluffing anywhere near enough in the aggressive nodes. So just be aware of that dynamic. And then if there is someone who you're like, well, this guy is over bluffing because he's got these like bet flop, bet turn, bet river stats of like 50% or higher, then against those, you have to make some like pretty wild adjustments. But don't make wild adjustments against passive players who all of a sudden get aggressive.
Yeah. I'm with you. No, that's definitely one. I've been guilty this week.
Never mind, mate. Never mind. Hopefully next week
we'll be
have
again
some
next
better
week.
news. Yeah. Perfect. Right, we'll leave it there, fella, because I know you've got to get away in 2 minutes. But thank you very much. And try not to be quite as Wurzel Gummidge silly head this week.
Yeah, with you.